All right, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned in and hope Construction Confessions was funny. I don't know what I'm going to slide in there yet. I need to start documenting some construction confessions, but I'm sure Steve can attest that we all have stories on the job site that are pretty wild. And so as I continue to record more and more episodes, I think I'll go back to previous guests and ask them if they've got any wild and crazy construction confessions. Do you have anything off the top of your head that you
Oh
could?
yeah,
Oh yeah. Uh,
for sure.
so that'll be easy. All right. Well, we'll come back. I want to kind of do it where I actually like dub the voice down. So it's like, where on those documentaries where people want to, be concealed and it's just like a black shadow and they lower the voice like this so no
Yeah,
one knows who it is. I'm thinking about doing
yeah,
something like that. But yeah, we've all got some pretty wild stories working construction.
yeah, yeah. I've got, yeah. I've got some that I would want to be blacked out for because I wouldn't want my name attached to them. But
Well, that's the whole point of the confessions is to like conceal everybody's identity because we've all experienced things, maybe done things that we're not proud of, and I wouldn't want to put anybody out there. I know I've got a few stories that I'm definitely like blacking the veil. We might even just like sit behind this and record the audio, and then, like I said, make it
yeah,
like creepy, scary voice. But yeah, so let's jump back in here. Again, we're with Steve Zacks, and we're just talking about construction, our experience in it, but mostly focusing on substance abuse, sobriety, and for you, eventually like leaving the industry. You said you were kind of like working your way out right now. I think once you get into construction, especially nowadays, just with technology, it's almost like being a tradesperson and having these handy skills. You're a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Especially if you're good at your job and you show up and you work hard. It's really hard to find those types of people. So it's probably a skill set that you're gonna continue to have the rest of your life, but maybe it not be your primary source of income, and you're not slinging shingles, when you're 60 or painting or, working with electrical or working in hot buildings, none of that for the rest of your life. Kind of sounds like you might be dipping in and out of it.
yeah. It's I mean, it's cool. Like there are aspects of being a roofer that are cool, and I've done a lot of really neat things. Worked on a lot of really beautiful homes. I mean, like five, six, $7 million homes on like multi-million-dollar properties and just like disgustingly extravagant homes at times. To also, doing things for people that are in a pinch and like we're trying to get them like the best deal because they really need this thing, and everything in between. But yeah, it's hard, it's hard work, and not that I'm opposed to hard work, like obviously I wouldn't have made it this long if I was, but um yeah, there's a lot of stuff where, just kind of going in like the mindset, like we were talking about earlier is just the don't be a pussy mindset. Like be a man. This is hard work or whatever. And like, yeah, it is, but there's a balance between working myself to the point of breaking down and exhaustion and like and that does go hand in hand with substance use. And I've seen it with a lot of people. Even just the stress of days and getting to the end of it and being like, man, it's one of the most common things I've seen for people to, get high or get drunk at the end of a night, and it's not like it's undeserved, like that's usually the mindset, I've worked hard and I've earned it, but man, the deeper level of that is like, man, there are so many different ways where we create more stress in our daily lives and feel the need to recuperate from it instead of like thinking about it at the beginning of the day and like making this as painless as possible. So I'm not always trying to like find my way back to that good spot, the centered spot, like whether it's getting high or whether it's freaking out, any of the more explosive or extreme things that we do. And uh, yeah, it's like there's a lot that continues to be like reevaluated. Anyways, yes, like I'm sick of that. So yes, essentially, I've grown tired of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's you don't see many roofers retire. They get beaten down to the point of not being able to work anymore. And yeah, so I'm not
Yeah.
I might look and feel young most of the time, but like, man, I'm not getting any younger. And I want to be as young as long as possible. And so yeah, I'm bidding farewell, a fond farewell to the construction world. And if I land back on a job site, I'll consider it a happy accident. And
Yeah. For
yeah,
sure. Well, congratulations, to be able to make that transition. Like you said, not everybody gets the chance to do that. Because there can be a lot that comes with that, uncertainty. If you've been in the trades for a long time, it's something that you've always known how to do. It's what you make your top dollar at. And so that can be very scary for somebody to just kind of go into a completely different industry. And a couple things before we dive into like what industry you're going into, kind of circling back around. One thing I wanted to say is like, yeah, a lot of times in construction, because you're working so hard, it's super stressful. You do kind of want to unwind, and that Corona after a full day, like it's good. It's thirst. You're thirsty. It's quenching. Whether I'm going with alcohol because that seems to be a very common thing in construction to like, let's just have a refreshing drink afterwards. And then, one drink turns into three and three turns into 12. And then all of a sudden, you've got this alcohol, issue. You're self-medicating with this alcohol because of the stressful thing, but then you're in the mindset of like, oh, I deserve this because I worked really hard. um, Speaking for me, like personally, I gravitated towards smoking weed a lot. And for my construction experience, we're talking about like not being a pussy and whatnot. Um, I started in construction when I was 19, when I got out of, or when I dropped out of college and got a job in construction, and found out pretty quickly that, there was a lot of like toxic behavior, of like be a man, work harder, lift more lumber, like you're super weak. And something that I struggled with was that I had until a couple of years ago, really difficult time coming to terms with my own sexuality, whether it was like identifying as bisexual or now just kind of like sexually fluid. That when I was experiencing, being called a pussy or other terms, or being, called gay or whatever, it almost felt like I couldn't even, you know, come out, even though I wasn't ready or had come to terms with myself or like loved myself. It was almost like I have to be this silent wolf so that I don't get eaten by other wolves in this industry if I'm like fully authentic and fully myself. So I hid a lot of this like, hey, let's talk about our feelings. And not that talking about your feelings has to do with sexuality, but like being a little bit more like sensitive, not trying to be this like really hard-nosed male, like very sensitive to other people and their feelings. And it's two separate things, talking about sensitivity and feelings versus your sexuality, but it all kind of like molds in together of like I couldn't actually be my full self in the industry. Like I had to have my guard up, I had to be protective, and I had to prove myself all at the same time, that like how many 2x4s or how many sheets of sheathing I could throw up on a roof and deck it, defined how manly I was. And so that was really, really hard for me for many, many years. And it didn't really start shifting and changing until I went into the natural building industry. So, like working with Adobe or, straw bale construction, where you're kind of getting more of like a community aspect. So there's women that are on the job site. There's people from all over the world, where we grew up in rural Ohio working in that industry. And so most of the industry is just like white dudes. And, they have a very like narrow mind about people and lifestyles and all of that. So it was difficult to be subject to that. So I guess, what was your experience with, I don't want to necessarily call it like toxic masculinity, but let's just call it toxic behavior, on the job site. And, for me, really quick, it's difficult to show up on the job site and there's this playful banter, right, that happens. And I don't know if it's like a Great Lakes Midwestern kind of things, like, let me give shit to you because I like you, and then you're going to give shit back to me because you like me. But at some point, like 8 to 10 hours a day of working around the same people, that is just like, let me tease you and poke fun at you and call you gay and call you a weak person for not being able to move as quick. To me, it wore me down. It took a long time, but it wore me down every day. And maybe that contributed to me smoking weed every day after work, because I was just like, oh my gosh, I can like take this mask off and I can relax a little bit and like, let me smoke this weed. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your experience, and if that toxic behavior kind of like perpetuated maybe some of your substance use.
Yeah, which like I'm glad that you did say toxic behavior, man, because like I don't really I don't know, and it might be just a preconceived thing just because of like pop culture and like how often certain terms get thrown around, but like man, it's difficult for me even to differentiate between masculinity and femininity.
Yeah.
So like, and I see the traits across, the whole spectrum,
Yep.
like men and women and in between of like just unhealthy behaviors. So I do like, I prefer to look at it like that. Got a cat in the room.
Nice.
Uh, um, yeah. So, interestingly, I think it's been like, so what I was talking earlier about with you is, man, I just really greatly appreciate that you are what I would call a balanced human, like, um, which is like what I try to be. It's like I can do things and I can be tougher, but I can be softer too. And it's important and, situationally relevant and like necessary to be able to do both. And so, yeah, it's like a lot of people that I see adopt these personas of just this, it can only be this way. And I watch a lot of them be really unhappy for a lot, like much of their lives. And man, I think that I have been fortunate enough to, I guess, of just like, I mean, anymore, honestly, like being made fun of is one of my love languages.
Yeah.
And like me and one of my best friends, he and I are just like, I mean, we're setting up jokes. Like we're waiting for the other one to like make fun of us in front of a group of people that we don't know and like belittle each other, but like in a, it's a loving, playful way. So it's like, learning to, and it kind of stands outside of the realm of, for me anyways, like using, it was the other things, just like the stress of,
Mm,
uh, I don't know, just like nonstop confrontation or things like moving in directions that just didn't make sense. So like it makes everything more difficult. And like um, when you were talking, it was making me think of, so what has made so much more of a difference is that I heard it phrased to me this way at one point in time, that like recovery is not about not using drugs. It is about creating a life that is so fulfilling and so
mm.
gratifying. And it's like, it's so much of the version of what I want to have that I don't feel the need to escape it. So that's what I want. and like being able to set up it's like it's a segmented version of that, but it's like the same thing on a job site, like anymore. The people that I've been fortunate enough to work with for the most part have been like, okay, we have a job, we're going to set it up. How can we make things work in our benefit and not wind up at the end of this job losing money, or it's taking too long, or these things got damaged, or we screwed ourselves up in this way, like whatever the thing is, like man, being intentional with stuff. And so um lessening those stressors and just like kind of preparing, showing up for like life, in every sense, but specifically with work, and preparing myself for that. It doesn't catch me off guard. I'm not like winding up at the end of the day so stressed out that I feel like, dude, I need to release some steam. Those
Mm.
situations still come up and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's funny, because the way that I've had to deal with like toxic traits from people, just unhealthy mindsets and beliefs and practices, like it's varied. I think like learning people, and as I learn more about myself, I learn more about how to interact with other people,
Yeah.
because unfortunately there are the guys that the only way, they're bullies, and they walk around being bullies for so long and unchecked. So like I've had a number of situations where it's like in those moments I will puff my chest out and like back up against somebody and they just crumble,
Yeah.
But then, knowing like having the ability to differentiate between that to seeing somebody where it's like, hey man, you're acting outside of the norm. Is everything okay? Um, Kind of like the mindset of like being the change that I want to see. And like I don't have any problem pulling somebody aside and be like, man, I'm having a really difficult time right now. And it's like rather than just trudge through and get to the end of a day just so I can do the same shit the next day, when I have people around me, I have tools around me that I could be using. It just seems so foolish and unnecessary not to utilize that. And so, over the last several years, the people that I've worked with consistently and that have worked around me, man, we've had a really unique job site, and a crew situation where it's like we show up, we have fun. If anybody's going through some stuff, because a lot of us have been in recovery, man, like we don't just shut down production, but it's like, at any given time, if it's like, man, I'm like having a rough time, it's like, okay, well, we're about to take a smoke break. So like we'll sit and give time and attention to it. And man, like we've shown up for each other. And it's like we're all, 25 to 45-year-old dudes that are like showing love and consideration for each other. And it's very uncommon. Not even just with construction. It's like, I mean, any job setting, like you see drama and you see people at each other, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, man, just like showing up the way that I would want somebody to show up for me, seeing that
Hmm.
that's okay, that's available to you, and like watching how many more days we have where we're just laughing our asses off and having a good time, and just like, man, walking off of a job and feeling like, damn, that was a really good day. Like we got stuff done, we listened to music, we're like dancing on a rooftop, we're making jokes, like, man, creating memories and stuff like that, all while being productive, and like just knowing that that's a possibility. And like we've created and curated really carefully a group of us that only adds to that, and I've said about it for us for the last 5 years that this is a grow or go place. We make fun of each other equally. We laugh at each other and ourselves, like we hold each other up, we
Yeah.
hold each other accountable. There's nothing personal. Like if I fuck something up, pardon my language, I want to know. I want to be held to my highest standard. And, so just all of us exhibiting these qualities and, yeah, dude, it just revolutionizes the way that things can be. It doesn't make everything this stressful, awful thing that we have to recuperate from at the end of a day. It's just like can look forward to going to work.
Yep.
Like I have friends and family that um I'm being around and like, but that's also the environment that I offer to others. And
Mm.
so it's like a multifaceted thing, man. But like, yeah, dealing with miserable people, it's really easy to get and stay in a miserable mindset. And
Yeah, for sure. And I think, to me, it just sounds like all the work that you've done over the last, 5 years or, whatever. I mean, even the decades before that, when you were going through, your usage with substances and whatnot, leading up into this point where you feel grounded in yourself, you love yourself, you have compassion, you have humility, you have all of these like really great attributes and skills and coping to be able to, yeah, navigate peace within the chaos and then radiate that love and that peace back out, which then kind of like changes people. It shifts people to your energy, and you're able to create an experience that is enjoyable. I mean, I really admire that. I'm currently working as a project manager, and I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out that. I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with the bullies and pull them off to the side and have a legitimate conversation with them to just be like, whoa, like what's going on, bro? Like this is the energy that you're bringing here every day is not working out and this not in alignment with us, and it's starting to create chaos in this spot, and we wonder why this thing is wrong and this isn't going right. And it's just like the energy that you bring every day has an influence on everybody else that's out there. And I think it's a beautiful thing too, where you're able to like walk this line with the guys that you have on your team of like, yeah, still, poking fun at each other and making jokes and having a good time, but it feels like because of the love and the ability for you to allow vulnerability on the job site, allow compassion, allow humility, that by doing that it creates that balance, so that you can kind of like playfully tease each other and make jokes, and it doesn't feel like it's stressful, or it doesn't feel like people are being like attacked. And so you were kind of talking about having that balance in your life, and to me that's what it sounds like you've brought to the job site, where you can be working on these really difficult jobs and it's hot and it's stressful and it's very labor intensive, but let me bring this other part, the aspect into it, and like playfulness and softness. And again, I think the word that's coming up for me the most is just like compassion. You're talking about some of these people that you're working with, and whether they had a fight with their significant other, or maybe they lost somebody in their family, like had a death in the family, like being able to meet that person where they're at and realize that they're a human being and that they're going through something really difficult, and just lending that ear, during a smoke break, or like, hey, let's go in a little bit deeper, let's move this energy, or let's like at least talk about it, gives somebody, it lets those barriers drop down, and being like, oh, this person sees me for me, and they want to help me, they want to, um, yeah, they're family, And so thank you for doing that. I don't know if I should congratulate you for leaving the industry or beg you to stay in the industry because we need more people like you, to be able to set that example. But it's more congratulations, because I'm grateful for where you're moving with your life.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I definitely it's been a little bit bittersweet. But that is one thing. It's cool about learning a skill or a trade, because it is something that like I'm always able to utilize if I so chose. So like man, there is something to be said for, becoming a tradesperson, and whether you're an electrician or a framer or roofer or whatever, whatever your specialty might be, those are really great even if you go in a completely different direction. It's like those are awesome skills to be able to learn. But yeah, it's there is something about, I guess it kind of goes along with the whole mindset of just like I was just exhibiting another form of the mindset of like, can't teach an old dog new tricks, or something like that, or just like, I've done this for so long and I already know how to do this. Doing something different or like relearning how to live my life sounds like too much, and
Mm.
it's just easier to go with the flow with stuff. And I think that's like a really, really, really common trap that people fall into. It's the same reason why, people stay getting high way past its expiration date, why people are acting like belligerent assholes on job sites, why people are staying in fields that are unfulfilling to them, getting to that spot of like, I want something different. I don't know what it is, but I know this, and doing something else is scary,
Yeah.
And a lot of people are afraid to, especially, like, I mean, a lot of people in general, but a lot of men that I've known, have been really afraid of either acknowledging or admitting that like this is fucking scary.
Yep.
I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. Like I probably don't like acting like an asshole or insisting constantly on having things my way. But for me to dig past the surface and like figure out, why do I do this? Why do I blow up on people? Why do I get high at every inconvenience in my life? Why do I stay in a dead end job? Like, why do I not become something different than what I currently am? And man, it's just like it's a path to nowhere. It's just it will only lead me to further unhappiness and wear down and burnout and like, misery. And it is sad. Like I think a lot of people like seems more commonplace for people to wake up to those things now. It seems like, you know, things have never been better than they currently are in terms of just adopting new beliefs and mindsets and like kind of softening around the edges and things like that of, my life can be different. So things like do continue to move in a positive direction with it. But we've had generations before us. I see it less so with people around our age than, the generations of like our fathers or our grandfathers and stuff like that, where it's just
Right.
like, no, this is it and that's all it's ever going to be. And if you try to tell me different, I've been around longer than you, so I know better, but yeah, it's just like being gentle with life, like figuring out what I actually do believe, what I actually do feel about things, and what I want that to look like and who I want to become. And, if I don't, I mean, once upon a time, I was dedicated to being a degenerate heroin addict. I woke up every morning sick, thinking if I have to do this every day for the rest of my life to get this feeling, it's worth it to me, you
Hmm.
know? And like I could have stayed in that mindset. I could have not chosen to look at things differently or hear people tell me that there was another way of being able to live and things like that. And maybe I'd be dead. Maybe I wouldn't have my son. Maybe my relationships would all be horrible. But because I was able to like, and like you said it earlier, man, it's a really important quality for all of those things, the drugs, the attitude, the beliefs, the whatever, is, man, being in a state of humility,
Yep.
recognizing that I don't have all of the answers. And honestly, I don't want to.
No.
I don't want that responsibility, like I want to be able to say, I don't know. You look like maybe you do. Would you be willing to help me?
Hmm.
And like that's available, you know. It's crazy. It's like being life is a lot like if I pay attention to it, it's like being on a job site and I need a tool and I'm in like the most well-equipped tool shed that has ever been created. It has everything that I need. But instead of just like asking, hey, where is this? I'm over here trying to whittle a hammer out of a piece of wood with a rock and I'm just struggling so hard. And all I have to do is just say, hey, where's this thing at? Can I use it? And it's like, I could dig myself into the dirt and just like struggle, 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 struggle. But dude, it's like it's been one of the biggest blessings to recognize that like struggling is a self-chosen thing. Pain is inevitable with life. Things are beautiful and very difficult and everything in between. But like anytime I'm suffering, I am choosing to suffer. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's been a very liberating realization. And
Hmm. I loved how you used the metaphor, being in the tool shed and trying to whittle a hammer out of a rock. And but what you said was just so beautiful about how that kind of like translates into life and just asking for help, asking for what you need. And that's something that I still struggle with today. In my job, which I currently work in construction, and even outside of my job, kind of got this hyper independence thing going on. And but the more that I embody some humility and being honest that like it's okay that you don't know everything. You don't have to be this perfectionist, and it's not just in construction, it's in life in general to have all of these answers. And you said people our age, so we're around the late 30s, early 40s. I'm 40 years old, and it's taken me a long time to get here, to get to that point, to be able to have that humility and start asking for help. But it's a game changer. And whether that's asking for tools or, hey, I don't know how to do this estimate or, whatever it is, or, hey, I don't know how to not use substances, or I don't know how to have a better relationship with my significant other. I don't, they're just, the list goes on that there are people out there that, friends and family that if you can open yourself up to the right people, can change your life forever. And it sounds like we've been doing that for a number of years now, and it's paying off.
yeah, I mean, I see nothing but evidence in my own life. And it's like, it's one of those things like we were talking about earlier, where it's like the positive feedback loop of doing healthy things and watching how that transforms my life. And I see it and I see the benefits of it. It feels good. I want to do it more. And like sometimes it just starts out with those little things of like, maybe I don't have to get high today. Maybe instead of that, I will say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Would you be willing to help me? Or maybe it's showing up on a job and like wanting to tell everybody to go to hell. But instead, I pull somebody aside and say, hey, man, I'm feeling heartbroken or whatever, pissed off, any of the things, like, could you help me or just hear me out? And it's like uh, the whole concept of I don't know, could you show me? It's like it translates into relationships too. It's like we learn about ourselves and like we learn about other people. I watch relationships blossom and man, it puts a shift on things to be like, no, like I do want to know. I want to understand, seeking more to be understanding than understood. And
Hmm.
like that's like it can totally change the dynamic of uh I wanted to share a story really quickly. This is unroofing related. But so I've got a friend. He's an incredible tattoo artist, and I'm going to give him a shout out because he's just phenomenal. His name is Mike Cernoyachki, and you spell it just like you pronounce it.
Yep. Got it.
but he works at Social Grace's tattoo studio in Miamisburg, and he is just amazing. But people have started saying about him or attributing this quote to him. Like, I don't even know what the question was, but I know that love is the answer. And we were sitting on my porch one day, um, and a woman walks by, and I don't know if she was drunk or under the influence of something, but she was definitely a little bit belligerent and very upset and screaming outside my door. And I walk outside and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Blah 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 blah. And she like comes at me, and my instinctive response is to like puff back up against her. And like before you know it, we're arguing with each other, and neither of us know each other or like what's going on. And Mike walks out on the porch and he's like, hey, hey, hey. He's like, he just like is quiet for a second listening to her, and he's like, man, he's like, that sounds like a really difficult situation that you're going through. And it's like, that's like probably really hard. And she's like, it is. And he's like, how are you feeling? And just like starts asking her questions. And man, like that, this woman's fuse gets put out, and it just gets de-escalated so quickly. And I just looked at him so impressed and just like in love with the way that he uh showed up to a situation that anybody justifiably could have been like, fuck you, get off my porch, I'm calling
Right.
the cop, anything. And he just, dude, he put the fire out without really even trying, and all he was doing was just being kind. And so man, like there have been a number of times where I've been able to show up in that way, and just like remembering that as much as possible. And I don't do it perfectly. I'm human like anybody else.
Sure.
We all fall short of the mark, but like the goal is to everything that I do with love. Like that's the precursor to everything that I do in my life. And when I do that,
Mm.
it's like, man, it puts everything in perspective. It's shown to other people. It like lets people know how it's safe for them to be showing up in the moment, and that not everything is an attack, and not everything is a fight, and not everything is a struggle. That it's okay to let my guard down. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. No, I think that's a beautiful way to kind of wrap up what we're talking about, especially, regarding construction, but just in life in general, to be able to show up in stressful situations and meet people where they're at and kind of just show them love, show them compassion, show them, um, yeah, just a general interest of like hearing their story, right? And giving them a space to talk about their feelings. And what a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Is
gift.
it is a gift. It is a gift. And those moments are always really beautiful to have those types of teachers in our life. So is Mike that's in Miamisburg, is this where you're currently like working at or?
Yeah. Shameless plug.
Okay. No, 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 no. I was gonna, it was a great segue into, hey, let's talk about, where you're going in life and what direction. And I was gonna do a plug for you, but I could tell
Thanks.
that, yeah, absolutely. And I'll just kind of let the cat out of the bag. Steve works so well with his hands that he's transitioned into working as a licensed massage therapist, and that's LMT, right?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, because one time we were at a party together and I was like, "Oh, it's Steve the roofer." And and Steve's response was like, "Oh, dude, I'm more than a roofer, man." And then I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "I heard you're being a masseuse." And you're like, "Dude, that's not," we were just like joking back and forth. You're like, it's licensed massage therapist. I'll never forget that because it was like a double whammy. I was like, dude, I really like this guy and we like don't really connect very much. And I just kind of like insulted him in two different ways, like back to back. And so I think about that all the time. Every time somebody's talking about a massage therapist, I'm like, it's a licensed massage therapist, LMNT. Or when people use masseuse, I'm like, that's not the correct term. Don't use that term. But
No,
it's a
that's
funny joke.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, yeah, there's I don't even know what you could do to like genuinely insult me. Like, I everything
No.
that happens, I try to have fun with. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Which we'll skip that part of it. But yes, and in the States, the good old USA, it is licensed massage therapist, and
Yep.
which is interesting because in Europe it's still masseuse and masseur, but
Okay.
I don't personally care about it, but yes, I yeah, so um and interestingly another, case of our mutual person Tara prompting me to get off my ass and to do something differently. I had already man, like touch is I'd say my main love language and it always has been. I've always had either girlfriends or close friends that man, trading massage was always like a huge part of it. And then man, being a roofer, and really working hard, it's just like man, it's such a treat to be massaged. And it's like um for a long time, it's been like my favorite feeling. Being sore and being massaged and like just being cared for a bit. It's like, dude, it incapacitates me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had another case of, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like I had spent years wanting to go to school for massage and then just being like, that's easy. I already know how to roof. It's like it's good money. Just not thinking outside the box at all, and just this is what's safe. This is what I know. This is comfortable. Change is scary, and I kept getting massages from other LMTs and trading with significant others or friends, whatever, and yeah, getting to a spot where Tara had really bad sciatica for a prolonged period of time. And man, anytime that she's asked me, I've always been happy to work on her. And, she's just like looking at me this one time. And it was just like, why are you still roofing? And like, I, I don't know. Why am I still roofing? And she's like, dude, you need to be doing this. And it just kind of, I'd already been through a process a couple times during that like 3 year period of just reevaluating a lot. And it kind of just it lined up perfectly where I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna go for it. And a class happened to be opening up right at that time. And so I was able to just not overthink my decision and just
Mm-hmm.
make the decision and dive right into it. And I'd been telling myself for years, like, I'm not a school dude, I'm not a structured dude, I'm not all this stuff where it's like I didn't even have any basis for thinking those things. I just like I was a junkie in high school. So like by default, I thought I was not a school guy. Um, so I get into school, I immediately am just like flourishing in that environment. It was hard, it was like working full time and going to school full time and doing clinical massages and all that stuff. It was a lot, but it was so doable. And not only that, man, it's just like I immediately started seeing the benefits of showing like it was all of the aspects that I was getting from roofing of like doing something with my hands, having fun with my job, listening to music, different like little subtleties, things
Mm-hmm.
that like, and then, but also I'm like developing connections with people and I'm like being able to offer a safe and loving environment for people that, yeah, maybe they don't even get a hug throughout the week or the month or something like that. And,
Yeah.
stuff that I get all the time and I take for granted. Like around a lot of really loving individuals that like we openly display it with each other. And like, I forget, a lot of people don't get that. So, yeah, I go through this process. And then my friend Hip, Justin Sheltman, but he's known by Hip, and an extraordinary artist too, had a vision of opening his own studio where it was filled with like-minded individuals that were, whether it was recovery or just like, man, a passion for life and for growth. And offering a place where people could get phenomenal artwork by phenomenal artists, and also wanted to like, he didn't see anybody doing it. I don't know of anybody that does it, of having a shop massage therapist. And like, which more or less, it's very similar. Like, somebody's coming to me and trusting me with their body, and I'm doing the best that I can for them to help them feel complete, or like achieve this goal that they have for themselves. And yeah, so he had a group of really insanely talented tattoo artists, and man, gifted me the opportunity of, like, he wanted me, like, I was working on him throughout school and his wife. And as soon as he opened up the shop, he approached me. I was like kind of hoping too, like, I was like, man, it would be so cool to just like get to work on tattoo artists and people that get tattooed, and they're all such wonderful people. And then, like, within a week, he was like, hey man, how do you feel about this? And I'm like, sign me up. Like,
Yep.
yes, 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 yes. And yeah, and I just recently started there, but man, it's like got a thing where, for pretty much all of the artists there, they do a lot of big projects, full day sessions, multi full day sessions. So like, artists or clients that are signing up for to get tattooed for full day sessions, artists are offering complimentary massages to their clients. And then, in addition to my own clientele, that's where I show up. And yeah, it's just like a really awesome environment of people that like want to be their best selves, and hold each other accountable and build each other up. And it's like, it's an opportunity that, if I had clung to the old ideas that I had, and like, even just with my limited vision of like, I just want away from this thing and I want to do something different, that by letting go of all the stuff that no longer served me,
Yep.
this thing that I could never have conceived of on my own just fell into my lap.
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was just try something new.
Yeah, and show up, put yourself out there, believe in yourself. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And when you told me where you were going to be working out of, I was super excited. I was like, I've never heard of anything like that, and I think you're going to do really well.
Yeah.
I know. I think I'm on your book. We haven't like picked an exact time, but it's coming up in the summertime. I'm gonna get on your books. I'm gonna make my way down to the Dayton, Ohio area. You said more specifically Miamisburg. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, and give one more shout out for yourself or for your team, the business, all of that. Like, that's what we're here about, is to just tell your story and where you're headed, and anything we can do to get your name out there, and get your schedule all filled up.
Yeah. So yeah, just shouting that out at Social Graces Tattoo Studio. And man, the artists there are Hip, and there's Trusty Dyson, and there's Mike Cernoyachki, there's Caleb White, there's Tyler Bowling, there's Brandy Dandy Tattoos, and Paige Hammerly. And then Will Doherty is our piercer. So, and then I can't forget, like, my good friend Timmy Grounds is also another phenomenal tattoo artist. And yeah, those are all of our artists there. And man, they're all outstanding. Yeah, it's like it's my home away from home, and it's a killer environment with just outstanding artists. It's like yeah, if you are in the Dayton or surrounding areas and you're looking to get some killer artwork, please, please, please check out Social Grace's Tattoo Studio. You won't be disappointed.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Steve. I, again, really appreciate you showing up and just being your authentic self. And that's what this is all about. I've always had that experience with you in every conversations that we've ever had. Last but not least, before we close this out, I do want to ask one question. What piece of advice do you have for anybody that might be kind of like struggling with substance abuse, or is there any type of like words of encouragement? I feel like we hit the nail on the head through the whole process, but if there was like, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, is there anything that just kind of comes to mind? I mean, we talked about loving yourself, and that was a good like beginning foundation, but is there anything that you'd like to say on that?
Um, so I guess like the the most important thing is that, man, if you are struggling with addiction, um, I know that it can seem like there's no other reality that exists other than like the the negative, destructive one that we can create for ourselves at times. But man, it is so possible to never have to use again. Um, like I remember being told that early on, and just like the concept had never even like really occurred to me. It was just kind of an occupation that I had accepted for myself, is that like this is just me. I'm a drug addict, and I'm gonna continue to get high in one form or another until I die. Um, and somebody telling me like you never have to use again. There's a life that exists beyond um, just running constantly from one feeling to the next, just like trying to maintain. And there is help available. Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous both have call lines that if you just look up in your area, Narcotics Anonymous meetings or Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I don't discriminate between fellowships, but man, there are people out there that are like you that have been in as low a state as you might be in currently, that have figured out a way for things to be different. And um, man, like if somebody like me can come from where I've been and figure out a way to not only make it away from it, but to figure out a way to create a life that's like it's free from even the desire to use. Man, it's possible for anybody. And it starts with that first expression of, I need help, and it's okay to ask for it. This is scary, but there are people around me that are just so not even just willing, but they want to surround me and offer me help because other people have done it for them. It's like, that's what the recovery community is. It's about strength in numbers and having support, like never being alone. I only am going to be alone if I choose to be. And man, there
Mm.
is help available. And it's like the crazy thing is that like something that I thought was like impossible, if I lean into it and I just like give myself a chance, I find that like staying clean and having a life that's worth living is not just possible, it's inevitable,
Hmm.
and like um yeah, man, I encourage you, if you are struggling, to please just give yourself a chance, give yourself a break, and just give a different way of life a fighting chance, and I don't think that you'll be disappointed.
Wow. Words of wisdom, man. Thank you for being one of my greatest teachers. I learned a lot from you today, man.
Thanks, man. I'm honored to be here, and yeah, like I was nothing but immediately stoked at the opportunity to jump on board with what you're trying to do. And same, man, I have a lot of admiration and love for you, and
Mm,
I'm very grateful to have gotten the opportunity to meet you and to know you more. And I look forward to, building our relationship, man. You're a great dude, and
mm.
a great human. And I don't know about you, but I just want to surround myself with more great humans, people that are trying to be great humans.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means the world to me, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, that wraps up our first episode, and thanks for staying tuned in with us, and look forward to recording more episodes for y'all. So tune in next time. Thanks for tuning in to Deeper Foundations. If something you heard today resonated with you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or reach out. I'd love to hear what's landing for you. Until next time, keep building with intention, stay grounded, and remember, the deepest work starts from within. See you on the next episode.